welcome to today's edition of Cracking the Cryptic on an absolutely filthy evening here in the UK. It is howling a gale outside. I just hope our electricity doesn't get blown out because we are going to be trying this puzzle on the screen, which is called Archers on the Quad by SSG. Now this has come in for quite some plaudits actually, and it is an intriguing combination because it's been described as both approachable and possibly puzzle of the year material, which is quite exciting indeed. It's a beautiful looking grid, very sparse with just these very short arrows which are a little bit disconcerting, and one of my favourite clue types, the quadruple clue. And in fact, I don't have much news for you today, so it's really just an appeal. If you do find yourself watching Cracking the Cryptic fairly often and you're not subscribed, do think about hitting the subscriber icon. We'd really appreciate it. The statistics on YouTube say that we are watched more by people who are not subscribed than people who are subscribed. So maybe you can help us edge towards higher numbers of subscribers. I was going to say 1 million subscribers, but it seems so ludicrous to say that because we are so far away from it. You know, we have worked so hard for 5 years and we're halfway there. So we really need the algorithm's blessing, I think, to leap forward again and show more of the world these wonderful, wonderful puzzles. But yeah, maybe one day we might get there. Anyway, what are the rules of Archers on the Quad? Let me read them to you. Really simple today. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. Digits along an arrow must sum to the digit in that arrow's circle. So that means you put 2 digits in here. Let's put in 3 and 6. 3 plus 6 is equal to 9, and therefore we'd write 9 in the circle. So it's very simple arithmetic involved in the arrows. And then digits given in a circle, I see it saying given because it's trying to distinguish those from the digits we're going to put into the circles. The digits we're given in the circles must appear at least once in the surrounding 4 cells. So that means there's at least 1 9 in those 4 cells. Now you'll immediately recognize, if you think about it, there can't be more than 2 9s in any quadruple clue, because if we try and fit 3 9s in, we will struggle with the third 9. These 2 9s don't disobey the rules of Sudoku, but were we to add a third 9, we would certainly have 2 rows or 2 9s in a row or 2 9s in a column. So we could put 2 9s around a quadruple clue. And in fact, look, we've got some fully specified quadruple clues, which are very unusual beasts indeed in those positions. But do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video, as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Let's try and get this done before the electricity goes out. Now, my normal strategy for quadruple clues is to try and find clues that match up. So for example, I can see, if we just highlight those 2 clues for a moment, you can see that there's a common digit. Well, it's 2 common digits. The 2 and the 3 must appear in these yellow cells and must appear in these yellow cells. So instantly we get this sort of pattern. We should be asking ourselves about where 2 and 3 go in row 1. Because they can't go here and they can't go here, so they must go in 2 of those 3 cells, which isn't putting a great deal of pressure on the arrow. The arrow could still be as little as 5. The minimum we can now put on the arrow is 1 plus 4. Oh, hang on. Well, no. Okay, I was suddenly getting excited about this 2 clue here, which obviously needs to have at least 1 2 around it. Now that 2 can't be here anymore because of this pencil marked 2 and 3 in box 2. But I think we can still have 2 in any of... Well, we can't have it there. Okay, so the 2 that goes around this quadruple clue, and there could be 2 of them, is... Well, they're in those positions, but I don't have a very good way. Maybe I could draw a line to sort of signify that. That's where one of the 2s goes. Right, let's get out of line drawing tools and think again. Okay, so we've also got commonality. Look, between these 2 quadruple clues, 3 and 4 appear in those cells in exactly the same way. Now that's not doing much damage to this arrow, is it? Oh well, okay. Well, it does occur. This is at least a... Oh no, it can't be a... Can it be a 5? Oh, this arrow's actually under some remarkable stress, I think. Because we can't put 1 and 2 on the arrow now, because that would add up to 3, and 3's gone as an option. We can't put 1 and 3 on the arrow, obviously there's a 3 over here. So we've got to put, the minimum we could put on this arrow, I think, is 1 and 5, which add up to 6. I simply cannot see a way of putting less than that on this arrow. So that's at least a 6, and that is worthy of a pencil mark. Oh, I thought I was going to be able to get an elimination there. I saw the 6 in this quadruple clue, and no, but there is no 6 down here. Okay, so I don't think we can do better than that. At the bottom, we've got commonality between 1 and 4 in those quadruple clues. So 1 and 4 have to be in those cells in the bottom row, which means the minimum for this arrow is a 2-3 pair adding to 5, which I think was the same as the number we got for that one. Yeah, okay, we got a 1-4 pair as the minimum on this arrow adding to 5, and we've got a 2-3 pair on this arrow adding to 5, and I'm guessing this is a 1-2 pair now without actually looking at it. I'm just looking at the pencil marks and seeing sort of what would marry up. I'm seeing that we've only got 1 mentioned once in the string of digits, and we've only got 2 mentioned once, so this should be a 1-2 pair, and is. So there is some weird symmetries going on. As we see, we've got 1 and 2 there. Let's highlight all of these 2x2s. We've got a 1 and 2 here, and a 1 and 2 there, so the 1 and the 2 in column 1 have to go in those cells. Now that is putting pressure on this arrow, because this now is a minimum of 3 plus 4, which is at least 7. So this one is under the most pressure. Now, can it actually be 7? If it was 7... no, actually, maybe it's not too difficult for it to be 7. Oh, look, we've got 6, 7, 8... 9 in the quadruples around the middle box. That's rather... well, that's obviously deliberate, isn't it, in some way? And the only other thing I'm seeing here... well, if I get really stuck, I'm going to resort to set theory, because there is a set, isn't there, that involves those cells. I can't remember what it is, though. I can never remember what the ones that aren't the normal Fistomathel ring are. It's something like these yellow cells are the same digits as these cells. This might be wrong, though, so don't blame me if I've missed that. You can see there are 16 yellow cells and there are 16 blue cells, and I think they have to contain the same digits, which if we get really stuck, I'll prove for you, although it might not be that set. The other thing I'm just wondering about is the absolute dearth of... yeah, okay, why don't we think about high digits? Well, high digits in the perimeter of the grid are certainly constrained. If we look at those cells for a moment, is that the right choice of colour? These are the questions that plague me. Not sure. I'll bear. Let's go with it for a moment. But these cells here, if you look at the quadruples in the yellows, there's no digit higher than a 6. So 7s, 8s, and 9s have to be in purple in each of these boxes. And that's interesting, because you now cannot put 7, 8 or 9 in a corner cell, because you're going to run into trouble. If we try and put 9 in the corner, how is that going to run round the grid? Well, you can see that 9 in this box now, in box 9, has to be in that domino. 9 in this box, therefore, has to be in this domino. And 9 in this box has to be in that domino. And then we've got 2 9s pointing at each other in column 1. And that won't work. So, what that's telling us is... well, okay, yeah, right. But that logic that I just did with 9s is exactly the same for 7s and for 8s. You can never put one of those digits in the corner in a puzzle with this geometry. So that cell is not only not 2, 3, 4 or 6, it's not 7, 8 or 9, so it is only 1 or 5. which... I'm not sure. I'm sure this is going to be interesting, though. Let's try the same thing down there. This cell can't be 7, 8, or 9. That's 2 or 6 only. This one is 3 or 5 only. And so this one is 4 or 6 only. Oh, puppets. That's ridiculous. Right, so these digits in the corners there, or these options for these corner cells, are actually not... Well, they don't seem to do anything. It must be... No. Hang on a minute. Hang on. What am I missing here? Oh. No. It's... I don't know. I don't see how to use that. That's really weird. Because I'm quite sure that this feels very deliberate, doesn't it? To limit these corners with this sort of geometry in the grid. Just realised I've got the wrong glasses on. That's why I'm not solving it properly. I can't see. Right, come on. Let's get these glasses on instead. Oh, I'll try not to let the other glasses fall off the desk. Well, right, now we've got super-powered glasses on. So we should be able to solve the puzzle now. What should we do next? You can't put high digits in these cells in each of these white boxes. Because it's because of where how 7 and 8, 9 work in the purple cells. Let's just guess where the 7 goes in row in box 3. I've no idea where it goes, but let's just say it's here, just for the sake of argument. You can see then in purple down here it's in one of these, in purple over here it's in one of these, and in purple over here it's one of those. So there's always a 7 looking at the string of white cells let's give these a different colour, in blue. So these blue cells can never be 7, 8 or 9, just as these corner cells can't be 7, 8 or 9. So that we can't put 9 on. That's lovely. Good grief. Right, I've got a digit. I have a digit. see if you can work out. I believe it's not that difficult actually to work out where to get the digit in the puzzle. I'll tell you where the digit is. You can get that digit, the middle digit. And actually I can get 2 digits I can get another digit from that. Right, this is very beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. So the digit that we need to focus on is 9. And that's because once I suddenly thought that these cells can't take 7, 8 or 9, I thought about those cells. Now, unfortunately, there's only one of those digits, 7, 8 or 9, that can't appear on an arrow, and that's the digit 9, because if we put 9 on the arrow, you've got to put at least 10 in the circle. So that means in these boxes here, boxes 2, 6, 4 and 8, the 9 has to appear in one of those 4 cells. Let's go green. Oh no, that's a terrible choice of colour. I apologise. Grey. That's okay. That's okay. I can see that very clearly. So if the 9 is in these dominoes, we can then ask, you see, the way my brain sees this is very peculiar, and I accept that. I see this as sort of floating X-wings on 9s, but the simple way to see this, and that's the way I will explain it, is to say, where does 9 go in column 5? And the answer is, well, we don't know, but it's definitely not in any of those 6 cells, because the 9 must be in grey in box 2, and it must be in grey in box 8, so it's in one of those 3. Now, where does the 9 go in row 5? And it's exactly the same logic. It cannot appear in any of those cells, because one's blue, 2 are on the arrow, it can't appear in those cells. So in row 5 it must also be in one of those 3 cells. And the only cell that meets those 2 criteria at the same time is, you've guessed it, the middle. So we've got to sort of red cross in which we can place a 9, and this is, well, this was the other thing I noticed. Now this quadruple clue is suddenly useful because the only place I can put a 9 around it is there, and that means there's a 9 in that little bit of grey in box. Oh, that's great. Right, so now that's not a 9. So this is now 7 or 8, and it can't have 1 or 2 on its arrow. So it has got 3 on its arrow, either with 4 or with 5. There's definitely a 3 on here, though, which means there's definitely not a 3 over here. This is not a 9. So I don't know. Maybe it feels like this arrow's the most under pressure now. I can't quite see how to do that, though. And surely now there's pressure. Oh, that's beautiful. That is so pretty. That is so pretty, SSG. I love things like this because they're just... It's like SSG had this in their mind, you know, at fairly early stage, and this, the whole puzzle is built up to this deduction because it's just so cool. So now the question I want to ask is, where does 8 go in these boxes? Now, the reason this is such a nice question is that we can instantly say that it's not possible for the grey cells to contain the 8s in these boxes, because if they did, if the 8 was also confined to grey, where would 8 go in the middle box? It would go on top of the 9 and make this simultaneously an 8 and a 9. And there are no such things as Schrödinger cells. The cat cannot be both alive and dead until observed. The 8 cannot go here. And that means there must be at least one of these boxes where the 8 is not in grey. And what does that mean? Well, it means 8 is on a 2-cell arrow, which means one of these circles has to be capable of being a 9, and it's definitely one of these two, and I don't think it's not it's not this one. So this is it. This is it. Because now, I hadn't got that last point when I was talking about it before, but I have now, because 8 cannot go on these arrows. This one, self-evidently. This one, because then it would have to be 8 and 0 equaling 8, and that's just silly. So it's not there. So 8 has to be on one of these arrows, but bear in mind it's got to be accompanied by a 1, otherwise its circle is going to be too high, and the 1 cannot be on this arrow. So that is a 1-8 arrow, and that is a 9, and that's one of the most beautiful digits you will ever find in any Sudoku. So that means there's a 9 down here. And it means that... So can we get the 8 around this one? It looks like it's trying to set us up for that, doesn't it? With this 1-8 here ruling the 8 out of those cells. So the 8's got to be in one of these two cells. I don't really want to pencil mark across the box, but it's definitely in one of those. Around the quadruple clue. Oh yeah, I know how to do this. Yeah. Well, where is the 8 in row 5? And I don't know, but I do know it's not on arrows for the reasons we talked about before. So there's an 8 in one of those two squares, and if there's an 8 in one of those squares, that's not an 8, so the 8 goes here. Now this 8 maybe. Or maybe not. So the 8 is now in one of... Oh no, it's simple. Sorry, of course. You can't put 8 in yellow for reasons that are fairly obvious. So there is an 8 down at the bottom of the grid, which means there's an 8 over here by Sudoku. There's an 8 in one of those two squares by Sudoku. So there must be an 8 in one of these two squares by Sudoku, and therefore there is, well, that not only is there an 8 in one of those squares by Sudoku, that cell is not an 8, so that is a 7, which means that this is a 3-4 arrow. And now that is not a 4, so this is a 3-4 pair. Good grief. This is sublime, isn't it? It's just brilliant. Now, what, if anything, does that mean? 3 and 4. Look over here. So this, I want to say this arrow's under pressure, but I'm not so sure it is. Can I do... Maybe it's 7 around that one. So 7 around this quadruple clue is now certainly in one of these two positions. Oh, that is useful. Because remember, in this box, where can 7 go? And the answer is not in blue. And now 7 can't go in those cells, so 7 has to go there. Which means 7 is on the arrow down here, where it can't be accompanied by 1. So this is a 2-7 arrow. This is... I could totally understand why people are talking about this puzzle in these terms. It is just frighteningly clever. Now, where does 9 go in this box by Sudoku? Remember, it can't go in yellow, so its only option seems to be here by our old friend Sudoku, which makes that a 7. This now is not a 7. So that's down to 6 or 8. Which, I sort of feel like that's... I should know. I mean, can that be a 1-5 arrow? Is there something preventing that? There might be. I'm not sure what it is, though. Okay, well, that cell's now a 2 or a 6 by Sudoku, isn't it? And there's a 7 and a 9 looking over here. So this now is a 7-9 pair, which means that must be a... Oh, yeah, that's great. So look, this 7 is now placing 7 here, which places 9 here. Which, oh, this is beautiful. So that's the 9, that's the 8 by Sudoku. That means one of those two cells is an 8. So we're getting closer to knowing what's in this circle. And that must be a 7-9 pair, which you can see is actually resolved by this 9-7. So that's 9, that's 7. How many 9s have we got? I feel like I must have got all of them. Ah, yeah, I can get all of them. I can do these two, which gives me a 7 here and a 2 here. That 2 is going to do the 6, that's going to do the 2 here. So now this... Lovely. So this square becomes a 1 or a 5 by our old friend Sudoku. And now how could this be a 6 arrow? It can't be, because it would need to be 1-5, because it can't be 2-4. And we can't put 3 cells in a row, in those cells that are all selected from just 2 different digits. So that is 8, which is not 3-5 because the 3 is gone. So it's either 1-7 or 2-6. Right, I don't know if I can do that. I suspect I can, but I've got to be cleverer. I can't see how to do it. Okay. So where should we look now? How many... Right, have I done all my 8s? No, I really haven't done all my 8s. That's strange. I can do an 8 up here. So this cell is now a 1 or a 5. So... that 4 clue is somehow useful. Well, it is a bit useful. Because look, I can't put 4 in the yellow because that's a 1, 2, 3, 5 quadruple. That doesn't seem to be able to be a 4. So I don't want to pencil mark this because it's cross box, but there is a 4 in one of these 2 cells, and that's fixing that cell as a 6. Now, I'm not sure what that's doing, but apart from it's certainly making this a 2, 3, 4 quad or triple. That's not 2 because of this 2. So those 2 squares are now 6 and 5, I want to say. Oh, look, and we've got this quadruple clue still outstanding. Oh, look. Middle box, this 8 is placing an 8 here, so that becomes a 7 using our pencil marks, and that's great because now there's a 7 on this. That's perfect. There's a 7 on this arrow, which must be a 1-7 pair, which makes that the 5. That's 1 in the corner. That's 5 there. So there's a 5 in this domino. And what's so clever about this, apart from, you know, the sort of sheer beauty of all the deductions, is that it's not so far too monstrously difficult. 2 and 6 have to be there, so that has to be 3 and 4. So that has to be 3 and 4, so this has to be 1 and 5, which makes that, you've guessed it, 7, which we could have got from that, but I didn't see it. That's now not able to be 1. So in this row we haven't placed 2 and... Oh, where does 6 go in this row? It's got to go here. So that's got to be 2. 6 around this quadruple clue now can't go here, so must go there. So that's 6, that's 5, that's 6, that's 2. There's a 2 in one of these cells by Sudoku. What are those digits then? I have a feeling I probably know those somehow. Oh, I know what that digit is. It's got to be... It's not 7, 8, 9. Oh, it's the same as this digit. It's 3 or 5. Okay, so that's going to give me these digits, which are now 1, 4, and 6. Well, I can get the 6. That's got to be 6 by Sudoku. So these two cells are now a 1, 4 pair, which somehow isn't resolved. But now those two squares are a 3, 5 pair. And that is resolved by our little old 5 here. So this is now not a 3. Oh, this must be... I must be doing something. I can't quite see how to do it quickly. But that 3 is giving me a 3 here and a 4 here. That 5 is giving me a 5 here and a 1 here. So this is now a 1, 4 pair, which means that's a 2, 6 pair. And now for our next trick, we will work out... Oh, well, look, my silly arrow, which I put in earlier, was obscuring the fact that that cell's got to be a 2 around that. So that's 2, that's 4, that's 3, which gives me the 4 and the 1 at the bottom. I should be able to do that square with scanning. That's a 2 to complete this column. So that's 2, that's 6. 6 is in grey here, perhaps unsurprisingly. So these squares are 1 and 5, which is... Well, that's great. Oh, I see. I think I could have got this as a 4 maybe sooner. Yeah, I could have done from this 3, 4, couldn't I? Just didn't spot it. That's got to be 4, that's got to be 8, that's got to be 8, that's got to be 1. So there's now a 1 in one of these squares. The 4 is doing the 4 and the 3 over on this side, which means this is a 2, 3 pair. So this is a 1, 5 pair. And let's just see. Oh, I see the 6 is doing the work. So that's 6, that's 2, that's 2, that's 3, that's 3, that's 4, that's 4, that's 1, that's 1, that's 5. And now that cell's 5, that's 3. And we're nearly okay, I think. What about down here? We need 4 and 5 into those squares. Oh, that's weird. That doesn't seem... I'm sure it is resolved. I'm just not scanning it correctly. Okay, what about this column then? 1 and 3. Hang on. What's going on? Why can't I see how to finish this? Have I missed a clue? Is it possible? Yes, I have missed a clue. Look at this. This is a deadly pattern except for this 3 quadruple clue. Thank goodness for that. That's got to be a 3. That's got to be a 4. So that's a 4. That's a 5. That's a 5. That's a 1. That's a 1. That's a 3. And that is such a beautiful puzzle. My goodness me. Archers on the Quad by SSG. Loved it. There is so much to enjoy in here, this. I wonder if I was right about the nature of the set at the start. So is it true to say that those cells plus... It's going to be quite difficult to tick them off, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 5. So let's try and do it. Let's just imagine for a moment that these cells, the blue cells, are the identical digits to the yellow cells and see if that set was correct. So 1, 2, 3, 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 5. That gets rid of that one. 2, 3, 4, 6. So 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, 5. And then I've got 1, 2, 4. So yeah, look, 1, 2, 4, 6. So that was the set. So it was true to say that the blues and the yellows equate with each other. You'll have to find another video with me using my Scrabble bags if you want that actually proved. The proof isn't too difficult, but it wasn't necessary today because we could just do it with high numbers in the corner boxes. Absolutely loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I do enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.